Okay, so I just got finished running up a mountain this morning.
Huh?
Yeah, so our Eric, who you know, Caitlin, calls it West Face Wednesday, where we go up the west face of grandeur on Wednesdays. Don't do this every Wednesday. He's like, "Yep, 6 a.m. meet in the parking lot," and I was like, "Okay." So I feel like my
You feel
energy, the way I'm
spicy?
feeling right now, is probably related to the episode topic, which we will get to in a second. But
Oh
a
boy.
lot of it was also in the snow and there was ice, and I am usually more of a summer trail runner, and I was like, "Oh, running on like ice mud, this is new." And it was fucking tedious. That's not related to what. So anyways, and then I got home and I'm really cold and that's why my hair's wet. Uh yes, because I
Yeah,
needed to take
you're
a hot shower.
do you have like a routine, like a ritual routine like that? I mean, I know you said you don't do like West Face Wednesday every week, but do you kind of
Yeah.
have like those days laid out, not necessarily just for training, but like
I
ritual
think
of the day?
I think the ritual that my body is like whenever I get done with a big run or a big ski day is like, bitch, if you don't get in the shower soon, you're going to die. Yeah, like right
Yeah.
now I'm pretty sure I'll actually never be warm again in my life. So that made me think about avalanche dogs because they're cute. And I am going to
Balto.
tell you
Or I
Balto,
guess he
yes,
did other stuff, but
he did other stuff. Balto was but anyways, so I wanted to tell you about a famous avalanche dog today.
who's not Balto? Okay, great,
Who's
great, great,
not
great. I'm ready
Balto.
to learn.
Was Balto real? I think Balto was real.
Yeah,
I know
I
they
think
made a
so.
movie.
I mean, he like
Yeah.
couldn't. He wasn't like
Maybe we'll do Balto next.
Perfect.
Yeah, you can go do Balto research and then we can tell the people more about. Okay, but this is Barry. Barry, the bravest
Barry.
Saint Bernard. Barry the Saint Bernard. Honestly, this is like Europe's Balto. Okay, so Barry was born around 1800 at the Great Saint Bernard Hospice, which connected Switzerland and Italy. He saved over 40 lives in his 12 years where he was largely working alone, where I don't fully understand how he was. Did they just send him off? They were like, this way, bucko. Like,
Barry.
go get him. But he saved a kid who was trapped in an ice cave and he carried the kid and kept him warm.
Okay, why is there not a movie about Barry the Saint Bernard?
It does appear. I do think I am looking at what is potentially a movie or a book at least, but yes.
Okay, so I
And
just don't know.
yeah, so I think
Louis
he
trying
has
to
received some
be fun.
fanfare. Uh, Something I don't love. I guess they like taxidermied him, and his body is on
No,
display at the Natural
no,
History Museum in Switzerland. That's
no,
not my favorite. I
no.
don't think that's how we honor our hero. Make him a statue and give him a proper grave. The fuck?
Yeah, yeah. Honor our hero by stuffing him and putting him on
Yeah,
display.
like putting him in the bodies exhibit, basically. Did you ever see that? You know what I'm talking
Yes.
about? Did you go see it? That was
Yes.
fucked up. I don't know how I feel
Yeah.
about that. I get that we like needed cadavers to like.
Do
If
science.
for anyone listening that's unfamiliar, the bodies exhibit, from my recollection when I was like 10, is an exhibit where they had like 40 people's bodies like cut open and shit. Maybe it was less than that, more. I don't fucking know, but they like cut them open and then you could see all the stuff, and it was like kind of like, I don't know, anatomy lab for the public, except for I remember thinking like, how the fuck did they get these bodies? And I
They
feel like it
donated.
wasn't, they were donated.
Yeah, they were donated for science.
That makes me feel a little better. I don't know. I felt weird about it. It was strange. It was a little bizarre, but I guess it was cool. I won't be becoming a doctor anytime soon. I'm not a blood person. Blood belongs in your body.
Bloods don't belong on the outsides.
No, blood should stay on the inside. And what people's guts looks like is none of my business. That's on the inside for a reason too. So
Yeah.
that's my take on it. But anyways, Barry the Saint Bernard.
Wow.
What a hero.
I love Barry.
Cute.
I love Barry. I wish Louis would go away, please.
Yep. Oh my gosh.
sir.
Caitlin's just been like patiently battling her cat We're talking about a hero, Louis, and you're just like a menace. He's like, of course, I'm a
Yeah,
cat.
he's like, "Hello, I am Cat. I on episode with you." Okay,
Yep.
let's. If you're
Yes.
gonna be up here, at least get in my lap. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. Okay. Anyway, so Barry's not really related to what we're talking about today. But that's okay.
Neither is
We have to
Louis.
introduce ourselves first anyway. So look at me delivering flawless transitions after I run up a mountain. What's up? I'm Lauren. I'm a certified personal trainer and climbing coach. I'm here with my dear friend Caitlin.
And Louis. I'm Caitlin, and I'm a certified nutrition specialist, and Louis is a cat.
Louis is a cat, a little gatito that is sitting in a lap and can't be stopped.
Mon chat.
Mon chat. I don't know cat in Ukrainian yet. Kit. It's just kit. Kit.
Are you learning Ukrainian?
Yeah. Because my
I
friend,
love it.
I have a couple of friends. My friend Alex is like super, her like both of her parents are Ukrainian, and I like started being more interested in Ukrainian activism things
Happenings.
because the world's fucked up and stuff. And then some of
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite
Yep.
pole teachers also Ukrainian, and I thought it'd be fun if I
yeah.
learned Ukrainian. And also I was thinking about it, and I was like, because Alex climbs, and I was like, okay, if I'm out at the crag with Alex and I want to be able to talk shit about someone, if I'm speaking Spanish, like too many people know Spanish, that won't work. But if we're speaking Ukrainian, we could probably, like, if I got good enough at it, I could talk some
You get
serious
some
shit.
Sneaky sneak in there. Okay.
Yeah. And like without, and it'd be so funny, and they wouldn't like, and so that's my spiteful reason. Well, I also just like, anyways, yeah, but it's Kit.
So-
Kit.
Okay, great.
Moya Kit.
Great lesson. Everybody
Yep.
learned multiple fun facts today,
well,
as per usual.
Okay, so we're here to not anything about that.
No.
We're talking about the energy. Okay, all right. Let me do it again. It's going to be better. This deserves
Official.
more pomp and circumstance. I'm very excited about this episode because
Yeah.
Caitlin's about to just like teach me for an hour. I feel like I'm getting a private lecture, and I'm very excited. Okay,
You sure are.
So today we are going to be talking about the energy roller coaster. I don't know about you listeners, but I'm very familiar with the energy roller coaster. So, and the tagline for this episode that also I find incredibly intriguing is why your fueling isn't matching your training, even though you might be eating enough. And I'm like, tell me more. I feel like I've experienced this firsthand. Now that
yeah.
but I'm very excited. So, okay. All right. So to kick things off, well, Caitlin, do you want to here? No, I'm going to let you do this. Caitlin, you give people,
Okay.
What do you want people to think about as we get into this episode?
Okay. I want you, Lauren, and you, listener,
Yes,
to
ma'am.
kind of like go into this episode thinking about a session when you felt really great warming up, shaky or like halfway through, and then completely zonked at the end. Or you finish a session and think, why do I feel absolutely zapped from my session? Because I really want to emphasize in this like roller coaster we're talking about that the way you're feeling is a normal physiological response, but it could be the sign that there's something deeper going on that we need to address. And it's not just about willpower, it's not just about calories, it's not just about availability of energy over time. And it's ultimately, it's not like a discipline problem, it's a physiological or physiology mismatch. And like the biggest takeaway I want you to have from this episode with all of this in mind is I want you to be able to recognize when the roller coaster is actually happening and be able to trust the sensation so that you know what to do after said roller coaster to come back from it or to prevent it for next time. So that's a lot to
sounds
kick you off, but
that seems great. Especially, I feel like, do you specifically want us to think about those times where we're like, I did all the things, but I
yeah,
like
still feel like ass. Like I did it all right.
I slept good, had food.
Yeah. Was an A plus gold star student. What gives? Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like I've totally experienced this. I know, Lauren, you already mentioned you have, but it can be really frustrating too to be like, why the fuck? Like, I did it all right. How come I'm still absolutely trashed? And like, why body no work? Like, I totally get it. I've been there. So this episode is for you if that rings a bell.
Yes. I feel like this is the, like, obviously cover your basics. Like, it feels like at a base level, if you're like, oh, well, you're not eating enough at all, so
Yeah.
that'll be the problem.
Yeah, like
This is
your
taking it a step
schematic.
further. You're
Yeah.
like, I am, like, when I look at the calories and the things, maybe even the macros, things look sensible, but something ain't right. So,
Ain't right.
it
Absolutely.
ain't right. Okay. So, speaking of macros and carbs, okay. Can you talk about why, like, I think we all think energy, hopefully if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, we think energy and we think we need carbs for energy. But Caitlin, is that like the full picture? Like something I've been thinking about a lot as I like engage with like trail running or just like doing more stuff is that like, and especially like you've always told me like consistency over time matters a lot, but I'm kind of realizing that like if I suck at carbs on a rest day, I can't like make up for that.
Yeah.
There's no making up. Like if I blew it like the day before a big day of training, like if it's a rest day and then I didn't eat that much, like even if I shove 84 Cliff gummy blocky things in my mouth, like in the 2 hours before the thing, like we've already kind of fucked it, right? Like it's like,
Yeah.
if we're doing something huge, it might not work out, right? So can you talk a little bit about like, I guess like perhaps a more nuanced take on what we need to know about carbs, especially if we're identifying as people that are like, feel that I'm doing the thing, but it's still like not, I don't feel pizzazz.
It ain't right, to put it
ain't right. We are
scientifically.
lacking pizzazz.
Yeah. I think you named the most perfect example because I think, yeah, like we talk about consistency over time, of course. And like there are days when maybe your carb intake is low and you don't like feel it right away, if that makes sense. But that really low carb intake on a rest day in particular to then go into a session the next day and you're like, uh-oh. I think at that point, like, I can't remember when our recovery episode comes out in this
I think it already did.
Okay, great.
Listen,
great.
Y'all, we've been recording things out of order, okay? Recovery was 3.
Okay, great.
I think.
So you've already heard a lot about recovery and like it's a super important part of the energy puzzle. But also, I think we get really stuck on carbs as like a singular thing we have to worry about. So I want to do a little bit of reframing about just eat enough carbs for energy because there's actually a lot more at play here. And I don't want to stress you out to be like, oh my God, I have to worry about another thing. But hopefully, this actually like kind of releases some stress.
And remember, if you already are not eating enough carbs,
do that
you're
first.
You're going to want to start there before you worry about this.
Totally.
Maybe even turn this episode off.
Pause
Download it first so we get the credit and maybe take the time you were going to listen to go leave us a review on like Apple Podcasts. This is going to stress you out. Just turn this shit off now. It's fine. And go have like a fucking piece of whole grain bread or some shit.
Absolutely. Or some gummy bears, you know?
Or some gummy bears. Or both at the same time.
Or both.
Not the same time. Well, I guess. But not like
in a sandwich.
Don't put the... If you're going to do that, you have to have one of those gummies better be a weed gummy or you won't want to eat it.
Yeah, or something is You're crazy. Anyway, okay. Um
Yes.
But okay. So like I've spent most of my career telling my athletes like eat carbs, more carbs because a lot of you don't eat enough carbs. Like I don't know what it was about like the 2010s and the 20 teens, but like all of us were like paleo is life, down with carbs, more fat. And then it turned into keto, which we all know how that went. But I think I've come back well into this career and been like eat carbs, more carbs, but I really do feel like it is incomplete advice because now I'm hearing a lot of people will say, "Well, Caitlin, I'm eating enough carbs according to either the plan that you made me or what my like macro calculator says or what ChatGPT told me to do. What is happening?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, perhaps it is not just carbs." And they're like, "Flips table."
Yeah. Wait, can you talk to me a little bit about like some of the weird ways that people are like technically eating enough carbs, but it's like not? I have a few guesses, but I'm like,
Yeah.
what are some of the things people do where it's like, it almost like not that people are trying to maliciously comply to your like nutrition advice, but like,
Yeah.
if someone was trying to like maliciously comply to your like carb recommendations and then it's not working for them, like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Speaking of, my dad just learned that phrase, or no, he learned the phrase weaponized incompetence the other day when he was visiting, and he was like, I feel like people do that to me all the time at work. I can't believe I never knew that. This is my new favorite vocabulary word. And then he like used it in a sentence the next day, and I was like, we've created a monster, but that was really funny.
Yeah,
Anyways,
like,
I was like,
okay.
Dad, I love that you're not on the internet too much.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, anyways, we're
I
very
love
off
that.
topic. Okay, but what are
Okay.
some of the ways that people do weaponized incompetence / malicious compliance to carbs?
Great question. I just picture someone being like, "I'm eating carbs maliciously."
I'm like the worst thing I can think of is like literally waiting until like 11:30 p.m. every like
eating all 200 grams of carbs.
eating all 200 grams of carbs in the form of like straight sugar, and just being like, I did it. I don't know why it's not
get
working.
it. Why it not work? Okay.
Yeah.
Great question. So yeah, you bring me to a great point. Timing is a big issue. Where like that example of, okay, I'm eating all of my carbs right before bed. Why do I not have energy? You need consistent carbs throughout the day. It's not just like one and done and that's
you can't
it.
just have like 6 cups of rice at dinner and be like, guess I'm
okay,
good.
check. Well, yeah, same thing where you're like, I had a sip of water. I'm good. That's it. Like it matters to have it throughout the day, but also like we do talk about carbs before, during, and after training being like really important time points, especially if your carb intake was kind of low already. Like that timing matters. I also think the context matters. Like if you aren't having any carbs during meals, but you only have it during the before, during, and after training window, or like you're not getting enough, or actually, if that is you and you the next day during your rest day just are habitually not eating enough carbs, you're just like, you're always kind of like catching up, basically.
Your muscles have no glycogen.
Truly. Yeah.
None.
You're running on low and poor recovery all the time.
It's basically like having it almost feels like, okay, I'm sure we've all been poor teenagers that were working some shitty job, but like the way my ass would be like, I could fill my car all the way up, or I could spend $10 to just kind of like get wherever, and then I can delay having to get more gas so that I can like buy an $11 shirt from Forever 21 at the mall later. And that's on teen girl math right there when you're making $7 an hour. But like, I feel like that was the way I operated with my gas. And like, I would literally fill up like it would go on E and I would do wild shit. And then I would fill it up like a quarter tank
A
sometimes.
tiny bit where it
A
has
tiny
like
bit.
an extra fume.
Right, exactly. And it's like, if you're doing that with carbs, like if your carb intake is the way teen Lauren approached her meager salary, then like we have a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And you kind of bring up another point because that just gave me so much stress. But if your nervous system is like overloaded, it's not like a direct transference of like, okay, more stress equals more carbs burned, more carbs needed. But it can kind of mean that. Like it can mean that you are burning and requiring more energy because you're doing a lot of like brain processing, and like stress does inherently like increase your heart rate, maybe like how much you're sweating, like the nutrients that you're using up. So all of that does require energy. So you like might be not getting enough then. And I would also say too, like an intentional restrictive phase, like if you are working on like body composition, or like maybe it's an intentional or actually unintentional restriction of calories overall, like you might just be consuming fewer carbs like purposefully or accidentally. So
Mm-hmm.
it all kind of like plays into that, I would say. But I do feel like it is really important to remember that energy is super dynamic. It's not this static thing that just like exists robotically. And I also think too, it's important to remind you that you don't run out of like fitness mid session. Like that's not what's happening. You run out of available fuel. But I think it really does go beyond just eat carbs here. And I think that's like probably a good, well, blood sugar is probably like a big thing in this context too.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. Maybe you're about to get to this, but I'm also wondering if like the types of carbs or the way you're like
Oh
the
yeah.
types of carbs or like what you're consuming to get carbs or what you're
Yeah.
having your carbs with also plays into
Yeah.
like how energetic you feel, because like when I think about it, I'm just like, I just don't think like let's say I would expect that if I had like a big old bagel that had a certain number of carbs to it, right? I'm just going to feel like a lot more full and ready to go than if I had just like the same number of carbs in the form of like Gatorade.
Yeah.
And I can't quite put
Yeah.
a finger on that, but like I does this
Mhm.
like relate to blood sugar as well, but like I imagine it's like timing how frequently you're having carbs and maybe
Yeah.
also like the quality of the carbs that
Yeah.
you're
I would put a
having like
lot of that.
matters.
Yeah, I would put a lot of that into context because to your point, like I think there's going to be there's something said about like liquid based carbs versus like a more complex carb. And like complex we kind of talk about more so in like a whole grain versus like a simple sugar. But I do think too, if you have like the bagel versus Gatorade, a bagel is providing not just carbs, but like a complete food source that your body is breaking down slowly. Whereas the energy you're getting from Gatorade is kind of like there's no absorption or no digestion happening for
It's
that.
just
It's
like a
kind of
flash in
like,
the pan.
yeah. So, like, I think everyone is different. So, that's also why I say, like, you might do better with a bagel, whereas like the next person might do better with Gatorade. There's no right or wrong answer in general, but there might be a right or wrong answer based on you, how many carbs you eat during the day, the types of carbs you're eating during the day,
What exercise you're
and
about to do, when your
totally,
last
and
meal
like
was.
how stressed you are in general. Like all of
Yeah.
that does play into it. But yeah, I think blood sugar is like something that in the context of like energy availability and carbohydrates is something that a lot of my athletes have come to me recently and been like, I think my blood sugar is wacky. Can we talk about this?
Can we talk about this? Okay, let's talk
Yeah.
about blood sugar. So, how does blood sugar relate to all of this? Like, can you just kind of walk us through? So, this episode is called the Energy Roller Coaster, and I feel like we've all heard the term sugar high or like things like that. So, can you talk me
Yeah.
through like if someone is experiencing an energy roller coaster, can you talk a little bit about what's going on with their blood sugar in that case?
Yeah. Yeah, like I want to kind of put like a positioning on this topic too cuz I think a lot of people have heard this. It's like becoming a buzzy topic in the like sports nutrition and like athletics arena because but like it makes sense. But like blood sugar isn't the whole story. It's just a really important piece of that bigger picture. But kind of like what we were talking about just a little bit ago with energy not being linear, blood sugar isn't either. So that's where the roller coaster comes in. And I've noticed a couple things in athletes that are particularly, I don't want to say problematic, but like they can become an issue for different athletes. Number one is something called reactive hypoglycemia in athletes. And like I have to caveat this caveat.
I think if
That's
you're
some
in New Hampshire, it's caveat.
caveat. Okay, well, great. Wow, that was a. That
And if
just threw me for a
you're in Bridgerton, it's caveat.
caveat.
And yep.
So true. Oh man, on the last episode of that and can't handle it.
I haven't started the last 4 episodes yet, so don't tell me anything.
Okay.
But this fucking guy, you can be my mistress. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are
Come
you
on,
fucking
Benedict.
kidding me? I was like, Benedict, you're supposed to be the cool queer Bridgerton, and you're
Freaking
fucking
ding
it up.
dong.
Okay, anyway, sorry, this
God.
is not about
Okay.
Bridgerton, but like, holy fuck. Okay, anyways.
So reactive hypoglycemia is essentially like also this is like a diagnosable condition. So please don't sit here and be like, Caitlin told me I have this. Don't do that. I'm just painting a picture. Okay, so like say you have a large carb hit. Physiologically, I mean, when you eat carbs, your insulin goes up, and then because your insulin is going up, it's helping shuttle glucose into your cells. But
Okay.
when you
Is
have
that
like that's
insulin's
normal.
job? Like, is that its one
Yeah.
job, or does it have other jobs? It's
There are multiple, but that is like the biggest primary job in the context of
okay.
blood
So
sugar.
insulin is a bus that takes the sugar and
Yes.
puts it in the blood.
into cells. Into cells.
cells.
Yeah. So it basically like the excess glucose that's like floating around in your blood, it's trying to like suck it in
Okay.
so that your body can use it, but also to help like control blood sugar levels so you're not like ill.
Okay. So yes. All right.
So
Great.
like
insulin scooting the sugar around to where it needs to go.
yes. But say you have a large carb hit. This is again in the context of reactive hypoglycemia. If you have a lot of carbs very quickly, your insulin spikes rapidly, you may have a very quick blood sugar dip, which could be creating fatigue. So that's reactive hypoglycemia. It's like an extreme case of the physiology of it.
Okay. So it's so why does the dip happen?
Because it can be kind of like a protective response where your body's like, alert, alert, we have too much in the system, must dispose of it. And it's like an overreaction, hence reactive. So,
Where does it
kind
go?
of like bye bye, out of body.
Waste.
Yeah. So, like, this
Or
is
in the waste
really
pathway.
common. Correct. Um, this is really common if you train fasted, and maybe not like not all the time. Like if you're like an occasional, oops, I trained fasted, this might happen more
Your body's like, can
regularly.
you not?
Yeah, what the fuck, bitch? But
Yeah.
also like if you consistently train fasted and it's like
Your
it's
body will
if
get used
you
to it and it won't like sound the alarm, essentially.
yeah, like
Okay.
I'm not telling you to do that, but like some of y'all I know do it and that's fine.
Some of you are like, I woke up, I refuse to eat anything. That will not be happening, but I have to train right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Get your bag,
So
girl.
like yeah.
Do your
um
thing. Let her
Another
cook.
instant yeah, for
Sorry.
sure. Um Another time when this might happen is if you are under fueling overall. If you have high stress levels, if you have high caffeine intake, or if you have really long gaps of time between your meals. This is like something that could potentially happen. If you're like, okay, I still don't know if that's happening to me, some of the common symptoms are like shakiness, maybe you're dizzy or there's like some fogginess going on. There could also be sudden fatigue. You might have an emotional irritability or shift, or like that sensation where you're like, I need sugar now. This doesn't mean that, like, when we talk about context, this doesn't mean that, like, carbs are bad. It doesn't mean you're always going to have this response. It just means that context matters here more so than like getting it like how would I say that? It's better to have the right timing, type, um and like overall carb intake versus like trying to hit a target for your day, if that makes sense. Like you wouldn't want to just have your, spoonfuls of sugar in the morning and call it good for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
That's not going to be what helps you because your body does need that consistent, like, the way I could describe it, you kind of want your roller coaster to be like a meandering, like up and down versus like, oh my God, we're going up
Yeah.
and down like
Yeah.
crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes tons of sense. Do you have like a general recommendation of like, I know it's probably different for everyone, but like, if you're just trying, like, let's say you're training like medium to pretty hard 3 to 4 days a week, what's like a good number of times a day to be having a carb or a couple?
Honestly, I would say having carbs at every meal is what I would recommend.
Yeah.
And that's not me being like personally. This is just I think your body expects. I mean, it's a macronutrient. Like your body needs it, and when you don't have it, your body is forced to produce it on its own from other resources. So like clearly it's a vital part of your physiology to have carbohydrates. Whether you're giving it to your body or not, I think it is really important to have it consistently and even like at snack times. But I think too, like even on your non-training days, having dedicated time points where you have all of your macronutrients is really important. Like you're not going to be a fueled athlete if you live on like hunks of meat. Like if you're like, I only eat steak, nothing else, like you're not going to feel good. It's just not something that you can sustain for long periods of time. And like I'm not over here saying like you have to eat like gluten or you have to have this one particular vegetable. Like there's variety, and that's why it's also important to get that variety. And I realize everyone's carb requirements are different, but it is a nutrient that your body does need in relatively large amounts, along with protein and fiber. So, like having that spread out throughout the day, I think is pretty important.
Yeah. I would agree. I also think you'll be able to focus so much better at just like brain stuff if you actually have the fuel to
Yeah.
like keep yourself focused. Okay. So I want to ask you a little bit about like the mid-session crash, or maybe even
Oh
like
yeah.
I also wonder if it's like mid-session or just like you somehow get yourself to finish your session and you do all the things that you're going to do, but then you're like falling asleep at the dinner table. Like,
Yeah, you
how do
sit down on the
we
couch like
you're like, ah, yeah. Or like you get home from
yeah.
and then your husband's like, do you want to help cook? And you're like, I actually
I would
can't move.
actually
I
like
can't.
to perish. Good night.
Yeah, it's like the only way I'm making food happen is that we are ordering delivery because I cannot even get off the couch because I'm tanked. So like
Yeah.
how do we, because like I've experienced both things, right? So where it's like the fueling's good and the like all the things are good, and then I can like come home and be a human and like la la la. And then I've also fucked it up. I think we've all had this experience where I'm like, yeah, I am in a hole that feels impossible to get out of. So like how do
Yeah.
we, or if you like get into your session and then like, you know, we're having the crash. So can you talk about like can you talk a little bit about this like mid-session crash a little
Yeah.
bit and how to like maybe prevent it?
Asking for a friend. Yeah, like this mid-session crash, I feel like happens to everyone, some of us more than others. But I think one of the big things that I've actually heard a lot recently is a lot of people, like for whatever reason, I don't know where this comes from, but a lot of people might have a snack before their session, but it ends up being really high in protein and really high in fiber, or like one of the two. And I think like we love protein. Protein's great, but before your session, maybe not going to give you that like energy supply that you're looking for. It can help recovery, but you're kind of missing that energy piece. Also, fibrous carbs in particular, might slow you down because fiber literally slows digestion. So you might just feel like really full or like you're not getting those carbs very quickly. So like that could be one reason why you're experiencing that. Maybe you have like really intensive long warm-ups without fuel. So like you go into your session and then like you have a quick snack before and you're like, wow, I'm already zapped. One other thing I've seen people do is they'll like run 5 miles on the treadmill or like do a big lifting workout before they actually get on the wall. And they're like, I'm tanked by Lauren's like, for fuck's sake. I've heard that so many times.
I I love my husband so much, but the thing
Oh
the
no,
boys have
Michael.
started doing, oh my god. I looked at them and I was like, you both know that that is horrible session order. Like you both
You're
know
like,
that.
what would Caitlin say?
Yeah. So they'll like come over and then they like bench press or like pick a barbell lift because it's like we have the lifting at our house and then our friend has a moon board. So like come over and like use it's not the worst thing. Like they're not doing crazy volume, but like sometimes the other day he was like, oh yeah, like we benched a bunch or whatever and then we went to moon board, but then it was like kind of bad. And I was like,
You're like, wow, imagine that.
yeah, I think if they do it a little bit, I think it helps because like if the moonboard shed is very cold, I think it's nice to have like an extra like mega warm up. Like if you do it right, like maybe this
Yeah.
can work.
It it
But
depends, right?
yes, so some of these things like
Yeah.
see back to I forget which fucking episode we talked about that in, but probably the recovery
Yeah. But it
episode.
matters.
But yeah, don't
Yeah.
have dumb session order. That won't help.
Yeah.
You'll just
Session
use
and
all of
fueling.
your
Muscle.
muscle glycogen.
Yes. I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. I think another thing that a lot of people do is being like, it's not that long. I'll just like wait to have my snack. Like I'll just wait until after. It'll be totally fine. Like I'll be
You're
home
like,
in
I
like
feel
30
good now, and
minutes.
then I'll like just yeah. I
And
did
then it'll
that
be
on my
fine.
big dumb hike this morning, and what I should have done is after hiking up God knows how many vertical feet, some of which was in the snow, which was terrifying. I swear to God. I have made some very funny
Yeah.
videos where it was basically just me mic'd up. I will post them on the internet at some point, but I was bitching. I was bitching and moaning. I was like, people shouldn't be hiking on ice. This is not right. Ice is not, that's not correct. We shouldn't be
Oh my
doing
God.
that.
Maybe we should put this on the Patreon. Just a
Yeah,
thought.
it's like you can only see. There was one point where I realized I was like holding my like trekking pole like the Lady Danbury cane, and then I was like filming me being like, I'm Lady Danbury, I'm Lady Danbury. There's so much ice in the ton, and like I was fully in the ton. I was dissociating, and I was like, Queen Charlotte, why did you put all this ice here? And like I was losing my mind.
You're like, do I have any oxygen?
Yeah, I was like coping with humor. We are coping with humor, but I should have just like stopped and been like, you know what you need is to like actually eat the gel that's literally in your pack. But I didn't.
Yeah.
And now I'll never be warm again. So
it do be that way. But
I was like, I don't want a cold gel right now. Fuck that. But I did.
Yeah.
I needed it. I didn't have it. So yeah.
That's a fair point.
Yep.
Another thing that could be happening and why you might be crashing mid-session is like we've already talked about this, but like the over reliance on the liquid sugars versus like enough baseline fuel.
Yeah.
I think
we
that
talked
could
about like
be
a stack of carbs at some point where it's like it's good to have like a variety of the carbs.
Yeah, it's like it's not enough to just have like the one and done. I think having flexibility between carb types is important. A couple of ways that like I think a lot of us too, for me at least, I'll be in a session and be like, why do I feel like this? And it's like I can really take it out on myself. But like I think if you are observing there's some like shitty feeling happening during a session and you feel like you're getting that crash, you might notice some poor power output, maybe some like increased effort perception, or like sloppier technique. I feel like that probably like you probably see that all the time in your clients and you're like, eat a snack, bitch, get some carbs.
Yeah,
Maybe
like
not
some people are
that
like
way.
some people when I watch their videos like one week over another week, I'm just like, you're doing it all the same.
Wouldst thou like a carbohydrate?
Yeah, I was like, you told me you were really tired in this session, and I'm just gonna say right here now, you look tired.
Y'all
just
look
to validate your feeling,
like you're sleeping.
I was like, you seem tired. So I think when you're less tired, this filter problem will probably go. But you're kind of tired. You look tired in this video. So yeah, sometimes we are, but it's nice to not be. Just the whole point of this like whole podcast series.
Yeah,
so.
I love not being tired. What a concept.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if you're like noticing that, is there a way to rescue it? Like if you're already like, I remember when we were out in Bishop and like it was one of those days where I was like literally in like a ball under my coat sleeping on a crash pad, and
alert
outdoor nutritionist Emily was there, and I looked at Emily and I was like, Emily, how do I fix this? She's like, well, you're gonna need to eat a lot, and then in about 3 hours when the sun is down, you'll probably feel good again. She's like, but you've already waited too long. And she was very nice about it. But she basically was like, you're already a little fucked. But I was also very fucked. Like, I was like, I can't. I'm so, I think.
Yeah,
so is there a way to save it mid-session? Like, especially if you're on the, like, I'm here for an hour and a half grind. Like, is there anything we can do?
You know, I think this is when having those, like, emergency snacks comes into play. If you're like, shit, I am concerned that this is not going well, what can I do? That's probably when I'd say like have that emergency snack, rest for like 20 minutes, see how you feel.
Do a line of Coke in the bathroom and get back out there, buddy.
I feel like we've talked about Coke a lot in this series. Don't do it.
Don't do drugs.
Yeah.
Well, those drugs. Don't do cocaine. Don't do that.
Yeah. No, don't do that. But like if you're really like, oh, I'm going to try and save it. Like the worst thing that happens is you still say, okay, yeah, no, I'm zapped. Like, oops, shit happens.
Yeah. Or like if you try and save it by having like some sugary snack or something, if the like maybe slightly disordered part of your brain is like, but that's bad because we won't like burn it off eventually, honey. Kind of seems like
That's
if you're already in a fucking
yeah.
hole, you already didn't have enough carbs to begin with, and you having a pack of gummies isn't really like
Yeah.
gonna
Like,
change the world.
just
So
please have something. And like in that case too, like I think a lot of people will like reach for something like a whole grain energy bar. And you're like, yeah, that's sustained energy. Get
no,
the sugar, get the quick absorbing glucose, because like that's going to be a rapid release of sugar rather than like
yeah,
slow and sustained, which like if you're trying to get work done while you're at the crag and you want to save a low energy day, I would not go for the slow sustained release if you're
yeah,
already in a hole. You need the quick energy and like maybe the slow sustained like after an hour or something, but get your energy back up. Sometimes it won't work, and like the best you've got is the best you've got for that day, but that's your indicator to be like, what will I do differently next time to prevent that? And so all you can do is learn from that in that case.
yeah, yeah. Okay, I think another thing that is a commonly used performance enhancing
Rescue.
drug rescue item
Not
that is
cocaine.
that is not cocaine but is cocaine adjacent. Speaking of, okay, sorry, we will get there, but okay. So I'm talking about caffeine. Side note, one time in college, our ski team, we somehow got sponsored by this niche energy drink company called Cocaine Energy. And their whole thing was just, it was like a Red Bull sized can, but their whole thing was we have 3 times more caffeine in it than Red Bull. And like that was the selling point. It was crazy. So we were handing them out at our like opening of the year party, and like people were fucked up. Like there's a warning label on the can that says like do not consume more than one of these in a 24-hour period or
Oh
something
God.
like that. It was so bad. But
I
somehow
how
they
could
just
you
gave us
even
a
name it
fuck ton
that?
of it. They didn't last long as a brand. So
Well, yeah, the government was probably like, yo, nah.
this was like right around the era in which Four Locos were like banned, and then everyone was like, "No problem, we have drink as much PBR as I want with Cocaine Energy, and Four Locos are back, baby." Anyways,
Oh
so I
no.
did not
Good
drink the
grief.
Cocaine Energy. I was like, I shan't be doing that. If I had, maybe
No.
that's when I would have figured out I had ADHD, and that would have saved me a lot of time. But I didn't. Anyways,
A lot of
okay,
time
so
and effort.
caffeine. Yes.
Okay. Caffeine. Yeah. Caffeine is a, you know, I didn't specifically name this as a rescue tool because I knew we were going to talk about it, but also because I want this to be not the not the first thing you go to. Like I know I was like carbs aren't the only thing, reframe it as your only fuel source, but like truly, like have a hierarchy of needs where it's like okay, I'm going to fuel and then like maybe you have caffeine. Like my husband does Red Bulls before he tries to send a project. And like, listen, that works really well sometimes, but I'm not saying like, yeah, honey, do that all
Great.
the time. Like,
Yeah,
I
do
think,
that.
yeah, like this is not to shame any caffeine lovers because caffeine is a clinically tested, studied, research demonstrated ergogenic aid that helps support your like energy is not the right words, but it gives you the perception of energy. It also can help reduce your perception of pain. Not
That
not
seems
like,
good.
wow, my leg is broken. I'm gonna ski through it because I'm so hopped up on caffeine/cocaine energy. Like that, not like that, but like your perception of like when you can push and how hard you can push in your training. It like dulls that sense so you can push harder. It also can extend your time to fatigue. So you're likely to be able to push harder for longer. But the important key here is that caffeine is borrowed energy, it is not true energy.
Mm.
Caffeine works in a few ways. It can help mobilize your stored energy, so it can actually help like give you that burst of energy. It doesn't actually create energy. And it works best when fuel is already there. That's why I said baseline carb first, then caffeine. Because if you have no fuel to draw from, you're going to crazy pants town. Like that's not helpful.
Oh, okay.
So
So
it
it's
can
like
like
it just does caffeine literally help just like get
it's a little
the
boost.
glucose out of your muscles faster, or like what does it do?
Yeah, like for lack of
Like obviously it's like is
time.
it helping things to turn into ATP more easily essentially?
um
Or you don't have to
Not
explain this.
necessarily, but
Okay.
it is helping your body get those nutrients faster. And that could be from like enhanced like if your heart is pumping faster, it can help kind of like move things
Okay.
faster.
Okay.
If also caffeine is it is like a diuretic, but it can help create better flow.
Okay, so it's kind of more
um
like a blood flow thing. Like it's like the flow of your blood is what's getting it's like a speed. It's like putting
it's
your blood flow and all of the associated systems on like two times speed. Not actually, but
Yeah,
like
and it's like excitable. So like if you're like in a state of like a little bit of like excitement or like training, or like where your adrenaline is a little bit up, it is going to tell your body that signal of like, okay, release more carbs now. So it's kind of doing all of this at the same time.
okay.
And I think well, also if you are pulling from, again, this is where like the fuel comes into play. You can't use caffeine to like pull from an empty cup. That's kind of like the main overarching theme. So caffeine can help you on those well-fueled days. Maybe it's strategic timing, like before training, or if there's a known tolerance. Because if you're like, hello, I have never had caffeine a day in my life and I'm going to start taking it, warm up first.
Yeah, like cool your
um
jets.
yeah, because like it's not for everybody. This is especially true for like pre-workout supplements. If you're like, I'm gonna train at 5 p.m. and have a pre-workout, and you're like, I shan't be going to bed tonight, like know
No,
your
that there's a
know your
reason I call it
limits.
self-destructive night pre-workout because it's like this
Absolutely.
is a means to an end, but the
TM.
end will involve insomnia. So,
Absolutely. I think
yeah.
too, like when caffeine can hurt you is it can sometimes mask under fueling. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, you might be like, oh, caffeine totally helps me like push through the day even when I haven't eaten. Like, bad, right to jail.
Caffeine feels like you know the evil witch in the woods that's like
The Hansel and Gretel witch.
oh yeah, or like the kind of witch that's like I'll give you a boon, but there will be secret three consequences that will be
Or
kind
like
of bad. And you're like,
the
give me
genie
the boon,
wish.
witch. Yes. And then you get the boon and you're like, this is dope. And then you find out the consequences later and you're like, that bitch got me. Fucking bitch in the woods. Like I feel
You
like it's like that.
got shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I think also it's important to remind you that caffeine can suppress hunger cues. So if you're like, it's crazy, all I do is drink caffeine and I'm not hungry at all. No, that's literally a literal drug saying, good night. You
Yeah.
don't need any hunger. And also, like we've already talked about, it can increase your cortisol, which can like help and hurt you. So like it can help you like um mobilize that stored energy, but then it can also create a nervous system response that like may or may not be helpful depending on the type of day you had. So it's like the food for thought, right? Like I think I love pre-workout, but if I have fueled terribly the day before, like during the day of training, it's not going to be smart. Like I know it makes me feel really good and I can do a whole lot with it, but it's not worth the cost. So,
Yeah.
um
Exactly.
I
Okay.
do, speaking of cost, really quick on this point, just a couple of signs that caffeine is costing you energy. because I think everybody likes a little checklist. So if you need more caffeine for the same effect over time, caffeine is costing you energy. If your crashes are worse, oh, what were you going to say?
Oh, that's really interesting. Like it's like if you can see your tolerance is like going up
Yeah.
noticeably.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
we don't want that. If your crashes are worse without it, caffeine's costing you energy and you're not fueling well. Certainly if you have GI, gastrointestinal distress or anxiety from it, not good. If you're not sleeping because of your caffeine intake, that can
Not
disrupt
worth it.
your next day recovery. If you feel wired but weak, jail. And lastly, but most importantly, if caffeine is the only thing giving you energy, it's not energy, it's debt. Jail.
Yeah. You're you're doing caffeine loan shark stuff and it's bad. Um
Yes.
yes.
Exactly.
Okay. So, Caitlin, can you talk to us a little bit about like is there a difference between like energy, like what we're taking in versus what's like actually available to use? Cuz like obviously
Mm,
if we like for to kind of go back to our example of like the gummy bear, right? Like if we eat a gummy bear, like it's still going to take a while for it to be like available for use.
digested.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So can
Hmm.
you talk a little bit about the difference between like what we are eating versus like when it will be available and like what is actually
Yeah.
available for us to use?
Yeah. Yeah. Like to your point, energy availability is not like an equal like calorie intake thing. So like I think a lot of us think like, okay, A plus B equals C, or like 1 plus 1 equals 2, but it's not that simple. So, energy availability is essentially what's left after training and like stress. It's like not just the numbers on paper that your MyFitnessPal calculator gave you, because your nervous system matters here too. So, essentially, that just means that it's like kind of after all of your how would I say that? Like your extra energy expenditures versus like I'm sitting here staring at paint dry and I'm burning an amount of calories. If you use up all of the energy you possibly have for training and stress, if you're left with nothing, your background physiology isn't being supported. So like that's
Mm,
why when we have like more stressful days and we're burning through a lot of extra energy, we might have like glucose imbalances, or like we might have those big spikes and drops in energy levels. And I think that also is like a good opportunity to bring up chronic underfueling versus perceived adequacy. And by that I just mean like if you've ever thought like I eat enough on rest days, just not enough on training days, or like I eat clean, so it should be enough, or I don't track, but I know my body. Like the reality there is that bodies adapt by either lowering output, so like lowering your energy availability, or by actually like um it could actually slow down or even increase like how much energy you're burning. And I think also flat energy in this instance might become the norm. So like it's not inherent that like okay, I'm eating enough calories, therefore I should have enough energy availability overall. There's so many other background things to consider, like how much stress you have, how much you're eating consistently, how often you're under fueling, and like in the athletic space too, you might just not be getting enough fuel because of how your body is responding to training. Like you may not have those hunger cues that if you were to track, you would be like, "Oh, I'm like
I'm like
significantly under eating." Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of think like, not that I don't think intuitive eating isn't like a good thing. Like, I think it can be
Yeah.
helpful in some cases, but I also think like as athletes, like I would never intuitively make sure that I eat a ton of extra carbs like the night before like a big day out or something, or like a big run or like whatever. But like I
Right.
know that I need to do that and it's not going to feel intuitive, but I also know that if I don't, it's going to be like kind of bad. So I think there's pros and cons to
Yeah.
that approach. Okay, Caitlin, to wrap this nuanced discussion up, are there any like main takeaways you want people to have and walk away with, especially as we recall our people that are like, I feel like I'm like doing the things but it's like not working. So what do you want those people to walk away with today?
I want you to walk away just acknowledging that energy crashes are information for you. I think it's really easy to walk away from it and be like, well, that session sucked. But if you can understand the why behind the what, and you can say, like, I wonder why that happened today. Like, were my carbs throughout the day just not very good? Did I not have enough yesterday? Did I have like not enough like wholesome carbs today and I just relied on like my Gatorade? It was I really, really stressed today? Like whatever it is, like use that as
Yeah.
information. And remember too that fueling well is a practice. It's not a rule set. So everyone's like roller coaster might look different, but like largely how your body responds to what you are doing is going to like physiologically is going to look pretty similar across the board. It's just like what works for you might be different from what works for others. And I also want you just to keep in mind too that like calm fed bodies, though it's not as easy as it sounds, I realize they do perform better. So if your goal is to feel energized, to avoid that roller coaster, and to like go on a nice little scenic hilly ride instead, I think trying to have your foundational energy and like your baseline energy consumption like solidified, no, not solidified, just
Homeostasified, that's not a word, but
like
like
figured out. Yeah, something that's sustainable to you over time. If that is what you focus on right now, that provides a calm space for your body to operate in, I think that's the goal. Cause like sometimes we can't change the external stressors in our lives, but you can support the internal process of how your body manages stressors. So if you need to do a little bit of reflection here, if you're like, okay, I have the data, now what? Ask yourself, where do you rely or where do I rely on adrenaline instead of fuel? Where do I restrict because it feels productive? Like maybe those are some questions.
ooh, those are
Um,
good. Okay.
and like I have a couple
Yeah.
experiments
Okay.
too.
So those are your reflection questions, and then calls to action. So things to try are as part of our big
Okay.
takeaways for this one. Throw
Yes.
'em at
Okay.
us, Caitlin.
Homework number one, add fuel earlier in the day, not just like, oops, it's time to train, need energy. So that's number one. Then next, you might consider if you currently rely on caffeine for your energy, perhaps go back to step one and reduce caffeine slightly. And then lastly, but certainly not least, eat your energy without negotiating. Don't sit there and waver, but eat and have that foundational support, because this is what's going to matter in the long run. It's going to support the longevity of you, but also the longevity of you in climbing. That's it.
Amazing. That is rad. Okay. I'm excited. I think this is going to help people do even better with fueling, and that is what it's all about. Okay. Caitlin, anything you want to remind the people of before we close this episode out?
The only reminder that I will give folks is that if you're like, oh my God, Caitlin's not online, she must be slammed. I mean, I'm busy, but that's not why I'm not online. I just can't be bothered. But if you're like, I really don't know what to do about this roller coaster, I need help getting off. I want the like joy ride through the countryside on the nice hills. I would love for us to chat and see if nutrition coaching is a good next step for you. I have multiple options. I have payment plans because I know nutrition coaching and any investment is, investment in your health is something to consider. But let's hop on an intro call. They are free, 15 minutes. We'll talk about you, your goals, and what we could do together. So,
Awesome.
that link will be in the show notes.
Okay, amazing. On my
Lauren,
end, just
anything?
a little.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Okay, so crew enrollment opens on Monday, March 9th. Remember that crew enrollment opens only once every 3 months. So get in here before the doors close again before the summer. You will want to do that. But that's my only reminder, and information about the crew will be in the show notes. So awesome. Well, I think we can wrap it up there. Until next time, everyone. Keep
Keep
it
it
average.
average.